I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm retired from the Army. Retired back in 2016. And Hives for Heroes is a national nonprofit that I belong to, that I volunteer for. And it was started in 2018 by our founder, Steve Jeminez, out in Houston, Texas. He's a former Marine officer. And the whole gist of Hives for Heroes got started up from him because he was kind of in a dark place and got with a buddy who was already into beekeeping and got interested and actually pulled him out of that dark place and saved his life. He wanted to start a way of giving back and sharing with more veterans, and now we're even into first responders. So we don't just cater to just veterans, it's first responders as well. So if you know any police officer, firefighter, medic, corrections officer, even dispatcher for that matter, shoot them our way. Because we're always looking for new, what we call newbies to join. Newbies. Yeah. The criteria for it is just that our core values is what we call CPR, connection, purpose, and healthy relationships. Okay. So we're trying to take a mentor who isn't necessarily a veteran or first responder, can be a civilian, and pair them up with that person who wants to get into beekeeping. Okay. That person hangs out with that mentor for a year. We don't want them to have their own bees at that time. We want them just to learn from your apiary. Give them a designated hive to learn from, and ask questions and pick your brain. And then at the end of that year, we ask that the mentor provides either like a split or a swarm to help get their apiary started. I know if I don't have any newbies right now, but if I get one here in the future, I'd probably give them 2 splits or 2 swarms, because as you know, you never want to just have one, you want to be able to compare the 2. Besides mentoring, we also provide support for education. We have the Be More scholarships. We just gave 20 away. It's $20,000, $1,000 per newbie. These people are in their 2nd year with a mentor, and they're wanting to become mentors themselves. So if they got picked because they exemplified those CPRs, and then we're awarded $1,000 to spend in the form of like gift cards for equipment to help grow their own apiary. We also have a reimbursement program called the BU Scholarship. Any member that's a part of wanting to get in a master beekeeper program, so for Alabama, for ABA, if they join the apprentice level and they pass, we reimburse their fees that costs them to go through the course. So we promote education. We're not educational, we're purely networking. Okay? We try to find pairings within 30 miles of each other or less. We typically have a lot of newbies that do sign up, but we lack in the mentor department. So if any of you have at least 3 years experience in beekeeping, then you can sign up as a mentor. You go to the hivesforheroes.com website. We've got some video and criteria there. If you agree to that, you can sign up, and then you'll be put into the queue. When somebody pops up within 30 miles, they'll send an email out, one to the newbie and one to the mentor, linking them up. We only do it through email only to protect their personal information. You'll first email each other, you'll set up that connection criteria, whether it's a cell phone or whatever. And then the mentor and the newbie come out with the schedule. We don't have a lot of hands-on. I'll check in as a state mentor. Hey, how are things going? Got any problems? Anything I need to address up with Houston, headquarters? But really, it's your show for that year with that newbie. How you teach, the frequency of when you teach, it's all up to the mentor and the newbie, what you guys agree upon.
Yeah, and how do you reach out to people? How do they find out about it?
How do they find out?
Like the veterans and the people who want to become beekeepers.
How are they made aware?
How are they made aware? How do they find out about you?
Oh, okay. Well, you can go to the website, hivesforheroes.com, and there they'll have everything that they need in order to link up. We'll also have a Facebook group. Now, if you join the Facebook group, but you didn't register to be a mentor or a newbie, and you're in the group going, I don't have a mentor yet, that's because we don't know you're in the system. So just because you join the Facebook group doesn't mean you necessarily join the program, so keep that in mind. But the Facebook group is good to be able to interface with people and network with other people from all over the country. This is actually an international organization as well. There are chapters in the UK and Australia. So it's global. It's not just here in the US. Really, it's the website or it's the Facebook group.
So people, do you market it just like this? You go out and talk to folks? Or?
Yeah, I'm kind of a street preacher for the program. I'll go out and talk to folks about it. I go to the two state meetings every year, the ACEs and the ABA.
But you said after the end of the year, the mentor provides a couple of splits or helps with a couple of swarms.
Yeah, it's one swarm or a split.
So how do they get the other part of it? Do they buy it?
They do. So thank you for jogging my memory there. We do not expect mentors to provide anything for newbies. They're expected to buy their own equipment, have their own bee suits, smokers, hive tools. If you were to work something out where, hey, I'm gonna loan you this jacket till yours comes in from Rossman or whatever, then that's on y'all.
So how many people have you had so far to get in the program on both ends, the mentor and the,
Nationally, there's over 4,000.
well, just in Alabama?
In Alabama, we are under 100 still. We're about, I wanna say, the data is always changing. So my data is from like a month ago. And at that time it was, I wanna say, 52 newbies and 47 mentors.
So what I saw last week, and I was really shocked, the local paper here had an article about how many suicides they are just in Alabama, and the number was, last year maybe was 151,
Yeah.
give or take one or two. That's tragic.
So, and Alabama alone is one of the most violent for veteran suicide. 18% of the suicides in the state are done by veterans and done by gunfire. Self-inflicted gunshot wounds. And a lot of that is because we don't have a lot of tangible programs for veterans to participate in. You know, VA's got like therapy groups and stuff like that or whatever, but like there's not like Wounded Warrior program. You really don't see that in the state. You know what I mean? That's big. It's based out of Atlanta. You know, or you see it only like in Birmingham, right? A huge metro area. But a lot of us are rural and we isolate. I'm a GWAT veteran. I'm Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay, my generation of warfighters don't go to VSOs, don't go to VFWs, don't go to American Legions because it's just a different style. I mean, I know that I'm a life member of VFW, so when I found Hives for Heroes in 2019, it allowed me to be part of something that's bigger than myself. Just like when I was in the Army, I was a part of something bigger than myself, right? So it's something I can identify to, associate with, and thrive in. It gets me outside. The whole purpose of having this program is so that they don't sit in the room and start a shotgun. It gets them outside, it gets them moving, it gets them some vitamin D, it gets their minds off of things. I know that when I crack a lid with 60,000 insects inside of it, I've got a mission, right? I'm focused on seeing if I still got a queen or whatever's going on. And I don't care about this bill or that problem or this person that ticked me off, or you know, it's just, it all goes away, right? Because I'm there in the moment, I'm present. And that's what a lot of them lack is stimulation. They're understimulated. They came from a combat zone where they're going 200 miles an hour, they come home, they hit a brick wall. If you called me in 2016 when I first got out and talked to me about bees, I would have thought you nuts. Okay? It just kind of something I was like, it piqued my interest a little bit, and then I found this program, and then I was off. I started as a newbie, and then I just stuck around, and Steve saw that I was still sticking around, and then he was like, hey, you want to be a mentor? And so I got flipped over, and then he's like, hey, I'm starting to identify these different states with state leaders. You want to do this? I'm like, sure, give it to me. Right?
How are y'all funded?
We're a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So through donations?
Yes, so we have different projects going on. We do a lot of interfacing with corporate entities. that may start happening here, hopefully within the next couple of years. So there's that. So we do a lot of partnering with different entities, and they support us. Like the $20,000 that was passed out, that was HEB, the grocery store chain there in Texas, and then another company, both fronted $10,000 to provide for those scholarships. And they do that every year. And then also other donors provide for the reimbursement for the Master Beekeeper program. So it's basically it's solely on donations. So if you see me at the ABA and I've got the table set up with the mugs and the t-shirts and all that, you're basically giving me a $25 donation for the t-shirt. So everything's a nonprofit status. Any other questions?
It's mostly volunteers like you?
Yes.
Or the people that are paid salaries or whatever?
No, there's a board of directors. Very few people are paid. A lot of us are volunteer based. All the state leaders are volunteer. All the mentors are volunteer. All the volunteers are volunteer. We actually have volunteers as well. Deidre is one of our volunteers. She was helping me at the ABA, as well as Lisa, one of our mentors, and Bruce is one of our mentors as well. Nobody's paid really. It's all just us wanting to be a part of it and provide that
How
time.
many veterans do we have on the waiting list right now that are waiting on mentors?
Oh, I couldn't give you that.
I'm talking about just in, you don't know just.
What about here in the state?
Oh, here in the state, probably roughly 1% or 2% of that number that I gave you is on a wait list. The biggest hang up is that we want somebody within 30 miles.
Right.
You know, I can get you a mentor tomorrow in Birmingham, but what good does that do you when you gotta drive 3 hours to go see them?
Right.
And that's the thing, is that my higher populated areas have more mentors and newbies versus, down here, right? Down here I've got, on paper, I've got like 1 in Headland, 1 in Ozark,
One in Dothan.
2 in Dothan. something
Or
like that.
Headland.
Yeah.
You got me in Headland.
Yeah. So there's like, just in this area out here, there's about 3 or 4, but that's really it, But if I get more up towards Gadsden and Birmingham and all that, I've got, in the 20s.
So you said the criteria to be a mentor would be 3 years of beekeeping experience.
Yes, a minimum of
Is that
3
set
years.
in stone?
Yeah, a minimum of 3 years is what we want. And it's really an honor system, I mean, we're not gonna go, hey, where's your resume?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a minimum of 3 years, because then you've had 3 seasons go by and you've had enough, mentoring is relative. It's like, this is a very subjective hobby, you know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna learn everything. Richard's method is not the same as my method, is not the same as his method, it's what works for people, what doesn't, or they wanna go different routes. This person might be like, I wanna rear queens, or I wanna be a sideliner, or I wanna be a commercial person, We encourage any route that they wanna go. Sky's the limit for them. Our purpose is get them out of the house, get them moving, get them learning, and forgetting about their problems and helping, because making friends long term, right? So it started out as beekeeping, but now it's barbecues or whatever, it's like, it just grows. The key is that they're not suicidal. And that's even for our first responders. It's statistically more dangerous for a cop that touches a car on a traffic stop every time. It's more dangerous for him than it is for me to go to Iraq for 15 months. And a lot of them need decompression time. They're on shift, they're off shift, but they're not really doing anything, and they're just kind of thinking about their demons, you know what I mean? So if we can get them to do a hobby, we got them out. We got them doing something else.
They can. I think so often, Greg Burns up there says the bees are the conduit to the people. And really it's about bees, but it's really about the community that you establish, the relationship you establish with your mentor, mentee.
Right.
And then you get introduced to more people that are doing it.
Right.
And it just grows, kind of like what you said, it grows from there. And so,
Exactly.
personally, I wasn't in the military, my dad was, but I wasn't. And just the people I've met through this awesome hobby right here,
Right.
it's just been a whole new world for me just through bees that I never would have had
Right.
10 years ago. And so that's really what I think. Yeah, we love the bees, but really it's about the relationships. Now, some people
yeah.
are private; they don't want anybody around, but
I mean,
most people want to have some relationship.
But at any rate, I didn't have a mentor. I wasn't part of a beekeeping club. I stumbled across a guy named Travis Ulbrich, ironically enough. Yeah, BB man. He was my first mentor. It was via telephone. And that man took care of me. He took care of all my crazy questions. When I called him frantic one day, thinking I had European foul brood, and he goes, "Does it smell like sweaty gym socks?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, settle down. It's goldenrod." You know, because I'm on Dr. Google diagnosing everything, right? Not knowing my rear from a hole in the ground, right? And I'm calling him a friend. "I know it's European foul brood." He's like, "Stinky gym socks?" "Yeah, why?" "You know that yellow stuff that's growing right now?" It's goldenrod. Yeah, so, but that man didn't know me from Adam and scooped me up and took me on as a mentor like that. And so, and that was right before high school years.
Yeah, good deal.
I see unlimited potential for good with this thing. I mean, we aren't even scratching the surface yet.
No.
We got 4 people here in this area. This sometimes Fort Rucker right there. I mean,
Right.
we got to get it going. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to do better.
And I want to get more first responders. We're kind of still micro view on veterans, so I want to get more macro and get the first
Is it both
responders.
active and retired, active duty and retired people?
Yes, it's active duty, veterans, and first responders.
And when I talked to Steve, his definition of first responders, because he said that I would have qualified because I'm a nurse practitioner.
Right.
So he said that nurses, nurse practitioners,
Right.
doctors,
Anybody
Healthcare.
who's packing gauze or whatever, you know, even
Bruce.
even your physical therapist.
That's right.
Like I was saying earlier, even like dispatchers,
Mhm.
you know, they're the unsung heroes. They're behind
Amen.
the telephone. You know, they are probably under as much or more pressure than the guy responding.
Be able to talk to
whoever's willing to listen.
I know that would be the cheese, and they can take something and pass it out to everyone that, you know.
Sure.
Stuff. So that's why I said, you know,
Yeah,
check. That would be perfect.
yeah. I'm not opposed to any of that. You know.
Okay.
But anybody have any other questions? That's really all I have. Like I said, you can scan that QR code. You can go to justhivesforheroes.com. Take a look at everything. There's different videos on it. There's Steve speaking about the organization. And we have the Facebook group. Anybody can join that. But like I said, make sure if you want to be a mentor or a newbie, that you register on the actual national website and not just join the Facebook group, because we have to tell people all the time, just because you're in the Facebook group doesn't mean you're in our database. You know, so we don't know who you are unless you're in the database. Because I call Charlie McMaster the Wizard of Oz. He's the all-knowing and seeing, because he's the connection guy. He's the one that pulls the data from the web page and then starts putting everything on an Excel doc and pulling up the Google map and dragging the lines and seeing who's within 30 miles and then shooting those emails out. So he does that every day, and he's a volunteer. He's taking care of the entire nation. Like today's in Alabama, tomorrow he's in Nebraska, next day he's in Kansas. He's constantly trying to find matches. They are actively working with computer programmers to see what is the best fit to try and refine that process, so that now we can, through technology, make about 20 different Charlies, more automatic functions, basically, like harvesting the data from the web page to a database that's readily available for him to look at and start chugging away stuff. Right now, it's a lot of manual processes that he's doing in front of a computer. But that's because this thing got big really fast. There was an article that came out online talking about beekeeping being done at certain VA locations. And they gave a list of nonprofits towards the bottom who are also involved in beekeeping. And there's 2 names put on there. There's Hives for Heroes and Heroes to Hives, which is the Michigan State University education program that's free to veterans. It's an online course. So like overnight, it just went population-wise. So like we're still feeling that whiplash. You know, we're trying to play catch up. But here in this state, my focus is I'm trying to get a lot of mentors. So that way we've got cushioning. So when these newbies do flood in at times, we're not scrambling for mentors. Because that's the biggest problem, is finding the mentors. Because people either don't have enough years, they just started, which is not a dig on them, but it just is what it is, you know. Or they don't know about us, or they just want to do their own thing, which is fine too. You know, it's not a problem. So it just depends.
All right, good deal. Good deal. I think it's a great thing. I mean, any way I can get it, just let me know.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate y'all inviting me out here. I gave y'all a card. Feel free to email me. You can send me a text and call. I do screen my phone a lot because of these robocalls and all that mess. So don't be offended if I don't answer. Just leave me a voicemail or send me a text message. I'll get back to you.
All right, good. Very good.
Thank you.